Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Kiksta Rankings. So today I'm going to be ranking one of my favorite film franchises, that being Star Wars. The Star Wars films have been some of my favorite films ever since I was a kid. You know, this has obviously a massive fan base. It's a very polarized and divided fan base regarding the Star Wars films, and I'm definitely going to have some controversial takes for you in terms of my rankings with this video. So let's get started. Slight disclaimer, I'm only going to be reviewing the 11 live action films. That's the 3 trilogies plus the 2 standalone films. I will not be ranking the Clone Wars as I have not watched the animated Clone Wars film, and therefore it's not fair for me to include it in this rankings. So let's start off with number 11. In 11th place is perhaps the most divisive film within the Star Wars franchise, and that is Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. The first time I saw this film, I just did not like it. There was just so many things that let me down about it. Obviously, a lot of the payoffs, and it just really subverted a lot of expectations throughout, and it really just did not pay off the things that happened in the previous episode, The Force Awakens. Was just really let down, and I tried over time to watch this movie and really find things about it that I liked, but I just ultimately, when I think of it now, I can't even watch it, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. In a close 10th place is Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So this film is very close to The Last Jedi in terms of how I feel about it. You could actually argue that this film is more of a mess than The Last Jedi, but I have to say that it kind of at least tries to retcon some of the terrible decisions that were made in The Last Jedi, which is maybe why I give it slightly more credit. But ultimately, I'd say it's probably a worse film than The Last Jedi, but maybe a slightly better or less offensive Star Wars film, which is why I put it in 10th. In 9th place is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So I don't really have many strong feelings about this film one way or another. There are a few things about it that I love, one being the lightsaber battles and the pod racing and even the new themes, particularly the Duel of the Fates. Other than that, it's kind of a bore, so there's not much there for it to really complain about or really brag about one way or another. It's just kind of there, and ultimately you can pretty much skip it if you're watching all the Star Wars films. In 8th place, and only slightly above The Phantom Menace, is Star Wars Episode 2, The Attack of the Clones. So this film, I guess I put it above The Phantom Menace simply because it has a better third act, you know, with all the Jedis kind of coming together in that. But otherwise, the first 2/3 of this film are kind of a mess. It doesn't really have much in it. The romance doesn't work between Anakin and Padme. It lets you down a lot throughout the film, but it does have a great third act, and so therefore I put it slightly above The Phantom Menace. In 7th place is a standalone, being Solo, a Star Wars story. So much like Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace, I don't really find anything particularly offensive about this film. I think it tries its best. Ultimately, it's kind of a safe film at the end of the day. I think they could have been more ambitious with it, and maybe it would have turned out a bit better. But ultimately, they played it safe. And, you know, I think it works in some aspects and doesn't work in others. Ultimately, it was always a tough task to live up to Harrison Ford's portrayal of Han Solo. But I thought Alden Ehrenreich does a decent job, but other than that, it's just kind of a meh film. In 6th place is Star Wars Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith. So this movie is definitely the best of the prequels. I believe the prequel trilogy definitely got better as each film went by, but this one definitely stands out as by far the best. Obviously, the drama in this film is fantastic between Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, all of that. The scene with Order 66 and the Fall of the Jedi is fantastic. It's great drama and it's emotional. And obviously the final lightsaber battles between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Yoda and the Emperor are amazing. Amazing choreography and really suspenseful, particularly when we kind of know the outcome of what happens based on already seeing the original trilogy. But even then, I thought they were really great and pretty damn well executed, and definitely represent, from this point to my first favorite option in the film series, definitely represent a much higher grade of quality amongst the films. So in 5th place is the other standalone Star Wars film, being Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So this film very much relies upon its third act in order for it to be considered a great film, and damn does it deliver in the third act. I mean, the space battle, the land battle over Scarif are fantastic. You know, even the emotional ending with all the main characters being killed is really emotional, and obviously the very final bits with Darth Vader are awesome and tie in pretty nicely into the beginning of A New Hope. The first 2/3 of this film are fine. There's no real problems with them. A bit slow at times, but otherwise, I think it's a pretty damn good film. So in 4th place is what I believe the best of the Disney era of Star Wars, and that is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. You can see with making this film, there was a lot of care that went into it. They clearly had a plan, at least for this movie and for the future movies, that obviously didn't play out that way. But this movie definitely has a clear vision. It wanted to pretty much retread the steps of A New Hope, but at the same time, just sprinkle in some new things here and there. I think that was a nice decision to kind of bring back a lot of the old fans who were put off by the prequels, but even also welcome in some newer ones with a blend of kind of modern storytelling and the old, bringing in the old cast and whatnot. Now, this film, I think is executed pretty solid all the way throughout. But that said, the taste of this film, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth now after seeing episode 8 and 9. Just doesn't have the same feeling as it used to. But I have to just give credit where it's due. It was a great film when it came out. And yeah, I put it as the best of the Disney era. Okay, so we have 3 to go, and this is where I think we're at really the business end of this video. This is where I think it really gets interesting. I think some of my takes here are going to be a bit controversial, but bear with me, I'll do my best to explain them. So in third place is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. This one is a great film. It's obviously the first of all the Star Wars films. It welcomed us into this universe and made us all love Star Wars. It is phenomenal, it is original, it is everything that we love. It's traditional storytelling at its best. The story of a farm boy who wants in search of a greater life and ends up joining a rebellion to fight back against their global empire. It's just a really great, solid story from start to finish. It was just groundbreaking in every sense of the word. It's a fantastic film. The only thing I would say about it critically is that I feel of the 3 original movies, it has probably aged the worst. Just some of the picture quality and some of even the audio of the characters. If you particularly listen to Darth Vader in that film versus in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, there's no comparison. He just sounds so much better later on. And so yeah, just those little nitpicky things is why I have it in third place. So in second place is, drumroll, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. So this is an amazing film. I have nothing but love for it. It is my second favorite in this whole Star Wars series. I completely understand how people consider it the best. No arguments with people who consider it the best. It is a phenomenal film from start to finish. Obviously, one of the greatest twists in cinema history. Just all the drama, the tension in all the lightsaber battles, the journey of Luke training with Yoda, the opening sequence on Hoth. It's just like, there's just so much to love about this film. It is fantastic. It has aged brilliantly. I have no qualms with it. It's just, yeah, I love it to death, but I have it in second place. So here we are finally at number 1, with the only film left being Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi. So I'll be the first to say that this is not a perfect film. It has some issues throughout, but to me, the third act of this film is arguably one of the greatest third acts in cinema history. You have 3 main storylines. You've got the battle on Endor, you've got the space battle over Endor, and then you have the throne room between Luke, Vader, and the Emperor. It's just perfect cinema across those 3. Obviously, people have issues with the Ewoks. I don't have issues with the Ewoks. People saying, why are they able to overtake, to beat the stormtroopers? I don't see any proof throughout the series. Just looking at the original trilogy, there's nothing to suggest why the stormtroopers are that threatening. So to believe that the Ewoks couldn't beat them, to me, is not a leap too far. Obviously, it's not the best storytelling ever, but I think it's passable. But then when you look at the space battle over Endor, it's easily the best space battle in all of Star Wars. I love it to death. It has so much tension and so much backing behind it. You really see the stakes, particularly as the Death Star destroys each major ship. Then obviously the throne room, it's just peak drama between Luke, Vader, and Emperor, obviously culminating in the greatest redemption arc in cinema history, being Darth Vader. It's just chef's kiss perfect. I don't know how to explain it. From the moment Vader saves Luke to his own death is one of the most emotional scenes in cinema history. I just think it's amazing, and it just always makes me feel things inside. Yeah, and even if I look at even the first act of this film, it's just so entertaining. I mean, it's just, you're really getting to see a new side of Star Wars, even though you've seen the Tatooine before, but just seeing this new kind of underbelly of Star Wars being Jabba's palace and all the bounty hunters and all that, and the whole rescue mission of Han. And on top of all of that, you finally have Luke as Luke friggin' Skywalker, being a Jedi master, basically. And, the Luke we always wanted to see. He's a bit annoying in New Hope, still a bit whiny in Empire Strikes Back, but he's so in control in number 6. And so, yeah, whilst I couldn't say that this is a better film than The Empire Strikes Back, I just like it more love it more as a Star Wars film, just a little slightly more than The Empire Strikes Back, but it's really just 1A and 1B in my mind. There's not much separating them, but Return of the Jedi just has a special place in my heart, and I just will always love it as my favorite Star Wars film. So yeah, that's my rankings of the Star Wars film franchise. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Post your rankings in order. Let me know your thoughts, if you think I'm right or wrong about certain things or certain films. I want to hear them all. If you like my video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.